If I hung around the same individuals, I grew up with, I wouldn't be sitting right here. I'd probably be sitting in a cell somewhere dead. If you don't deal with and end those things that are necessary, then, you basically are doomed. So the question is, what makes it necessary to end something?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Appreciate you guys for joining. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. Rodney, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Crazy busy, but good.
Yeah, that's an understatement. For sure. So today, subject, we've got Mike. He's going to actually be jumping in here in a second. Probably not on this episode, but on the next one. Again, busy. Everybody.
Matter of fact, Mike's on the call right now.
Mike's on the call. I just had to send text messages before I sat down. Have to go somewhere after. So we've got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes.
But today, for this particular episode, I put a subject or a topic in the chat: necessary endings. Now, background, the reason, or when I threw that into the chat, I guess what I was thinking of is like I just had to let a staff member go, and it just kind of made me reflect on the times where a relationship came to a point where there was either it needed to change significantly or it just had to end. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to just kind of go over this and like have a conversation about those moments, what makes them up, how to do it well, because there could be yelling, screaming, throwing stuff. But it also could be a handshake. Hey, I hope the best for you. Yeah,
and I think, but in the necessary endings, and I think that people might look at kind of poo-poo, but don't look past that statement, necessary ending, because the first part of this necessary. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the question is, first of all, what makes it necessary to end something? No. So I mean, you don't have to talk about the situation you had, but we can talk about the kind of overall, the what to make it necessary.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you in this particular case, there was just obviously when something starts, there's often an expectation, right? Whether that be a relationship, you start dating someone, or whether that be, a job that you have taken on and there was an expectation about how it would, help you in your life or whatever, in your career. And then over time, once you actually have, gone through the process, you've been in it for some time and you kind of understand like, oh, okay, I can see that this, maybe my expectation wasn't the reality of this situation. Gotcha. Maybe for whatever reason, it didn't turn out to be what I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And you kind of learn that. Now, sometimes you know that really fast, but sometimes it takes time to kind of find out, especially when you're talking about people. You have to.
You don't know what you don't know right off the bat.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Different situation brings out different things in people.
They do, and I think I'm glad you framed it, because that expectation piece is what you kind of leaned on here. And I think a lot of times when we talk about work or actually having somebody do a job for us, or we solicit someone to do a job, it comes down to what's the expectation for that job. And if it's not expectation not being met, then you feel like the job haven't been done to the extent it should be done. Mm-hmm. And like you said, over time, you're like, okay, well, am I gonna continue to be okay with that? Or do I need to make a change to get to the point where I get what I'm expecting to get? And flipping it, if I'm doing something for someone and I need to know what their expectations are at work or whatever, the role I'm in, if I'm not meeting that expectation, then that person can come to me and say, well, hey, look, you know what? I don't need you. I don't need you anymore because you're not able to meet that expectation. Mm-hmm. So I think expectation is a big part of, what brings on the need for something to end if they're not being met. Unmet expectation.
Unmet expectation. Another thing that I feel like causes it to be a necessary ending is like a part of the expectation. But also too, sometimes when we, getting into something, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. Maybe it evolved, maybe it developed, maybe the relationship that you had with so-and-so person, it was good and things were going well, but things then changed.
Yeah.
People change, times change, the economy changes, the president changes, things change all the time. And so, okay, now in these under these new circumstances, is it still worth continuing with this change? Or does this no longer make it okay for me?
Yeah, that's a decision. And I think it's great to kind of talk about it this way, because that's a decision that you or I have to make about that situation. And the point is, like I'm getting at is that you can easily find yourself in a situation where you need to make a change. You need to end something, but you keep dealing with it. And maybe it's a shift in our conversation a little bit, that why do people not make that necessary change? Meaning that the expectations aren't being met, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a job, whether it be someone doing work for you. I mean, it could be the person cleaning your house. I don't know. But the point is, you just keep holding on and using that same person. Your expectation has not been met. The need has not been met, but you don't end it.
Let's make this very real. Let's make this very real. Because there's one category of person who's gonna say, "Oh man, if it doesn't make sense, just end it." Mm-hmm. But when you're dealing with people, it's never like that. It's never just black and white. Oh yeah, I'll just shoot a text message there or call. Hey, we're done.
Yeah, it's over. Okay. Don't come back anymore.
Right. It's over. Cool. Fantastic. Fine. Go away. It's never that deep, or it's never that simple. Yeah. The reality is, so I'll give you a situation here. There's a guy who he's with this lady, and they have a couple kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
They've been together for a while. There's some very obvious issues in the relationship, but they're okay. Then one person in the relationship does something outrageous. Mm-hmm. Infidelity. It's just not it's terrible, horrible. That other person has to deal with it now. They have to decide, can I live with this? Mm-hmm. Can I live with the emotions of it? Can I live with the embarrassment? Yeah. Can I live with the recurring thought that you were willing to do this with still being with me? Mm-hmm. Now we're in a situation where of course he could be like, no, forget you, I'm done. There's kids. We've been living together. So is it really that black and white at this point in time?
No, and I'm glad you're making it real, because I think sometimes, people sit up and have these conversations like, hey, you just need to do it. Get rid of it. Stop doing it. But
that's typical podcast. Like, this is what you need to do, and this will make your life better.
Exactly. But this is not a typical podcast. But what you just brought up is that it's, for one, okay, and one thing you didn't say, but I'm pretty sure is in that equation too, you got a person that loves the other person.
Of course.
So you got feelings, you got responsibilities. You're talking about kids. You're talking about all these different factors that's coming in, and on paper, the individual's probably, I need to end this.
Yeah.
And
everybody's probably already told you that you should.
You should end it. Yeah, exactly. But the actual process of doing it is going to impact all these other factors that you brought up.
Your life will change from this point. If you make that decision, your life will not be the same.
Well, that person's life, nor will the kids, nor will everybody else. But the question that has to be asked of anybody in that situation is, what's going to yield a better outcome?
Is it worth it?
Yes. What's going to yield? And I think that's where, at least the advice I'm trying to give is, I think any of those situations is, what's going to yield a better outcome? Because when you talk about a necessary ending, it does no good to end something and get something worse.
No. Mm-mm.
So even if your expectations are here, if you're gonna end it, let's use the relationship you talk about. If you're gonna end that relationship and you're gonna go into a worse relationship, okay, that's not helping you. If you're gonna end that relationship and you're gonna turn into someone who, goes into a closet or whatever, that's not, I guess the point I'm getting at is that you almost gotta prepare yourself and get in the right state of mind to end something.
There's multiple variables in this equation that have to be considered, because an emotional decision to just say, I'm upset, this is over, kids, let's go. If you didn't think about that decision, like in the action of it, you could do it like that. But if you just in the moment decided that, you didn't think about, oh, well, our insurance is tied. Like, we only drive the same car. Like, everything is in your name. You didn't think about any of these things. No. And you just said up and go. That's too emotional. No. You got to calm down.
And the outcome's going to be horrible.
And the outcome is going
it's going to be worse than what you're dealing with. But let's examine this for a minute, because going back, staying true to the fact, hey, necessary endings, and even when you started with the situation you were in, it was, if you were emotional in that decision-making process, the example you gave, the example, or let's say this fictitious couple we're talking about that's going through this thing, the example of anything, a contractor, okay, they working on your house, they're right in the middle of the project, and you just, expectations are being met, and you just fire them right in the middle of it.
Get out of here.
Yeah, now you stuck.
You were unprepared.
You're unprepared. You got to plan. In each one of those situations, like your situation, you had to think through, okay, what's my steps? What's the steps I'm going to follow? Because you got to cover whatever was being done has to continue to get done in some form or fashion, or it falls down and it don't get done. And
we still got to meet the expectation.
Yeah.
And either you're going to be the one to do it, or we're going to have to figure out another way to get there.
Yeah.
Now, before we get to the preparation for the necessary ending, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the emotion of getting to that point.
Okay.
Because like we just said, it's not black and white, but in that same, let's just say you're in that relationship, or let's say it's the the employee crush, or the relation, or the career, whatever. In that moment, when everybody is telling you need to do this, like get rid of him, get rid of her, you don't deserve this or that, or you deserve better. Oftentimes when we forget, as friends, as family members, as people who care about that person, when we're just saying, get rid of them, we're not considering the fact that for them, there is so much that they've invested emotionally, mentally, financially into that, to just, I'm just going to get rid of them. It's not that easy.
No, it's not. So let's go on deeper into that then. What are the reasons then for making it a necessary ending? Like the scenarios we're talking about. What I mean, you gave the one with the example with the kids, hey, one person cheating, all that infidelity. But I guess I should say what needs to be in play for you to get to the point where you feel there's a necessary ending? The emotion piece you're talking about. What's going on there? What's the triggers, I guess, to kick that whole thought process off?
I think of it like, so for example, let's say you're a manager at a corporation, and there's an employee that was hired on, and they're not necessarily meeting the expectation at the moment, right? You don't just up and fire them. I mean, if they did something outrageous, okay, get rid of them. But most of the time, if they messed up on that assignment, do you let them go, or do you work with them, right? You don't just say, you're fired because you didn't turn this thing in on time one time. That doesn't even make sense. That's irrational.
It is.
But what you do in that point is you go back over the process and you look at, okay, did they have everything that they needed to even be successful?
Okay.
I got to reflect now. What did I do? What did I do in this situation that might have caused that outcome? How did I affect this? Before I even point at you, let me look at, okay, did you actually have everything to be successful, or is that a natural result of what I gave you? Like there was not a way that you could be.
So there needs to be some self-reflection.
There has to be.
Because I guess you don't want to get into what I call, it's all that person's issue. You got to understand, did I play a role in the expectations not being met?
Yeah, and I don't want you to just leave this as like a job thing, but like some people jump into a relationship and then they find themselves going from relationship to relationship, never considering the fact that you're the problem. You weren't ready in the first place. You have so much baggage that you keep carrying into all these relationships. You think that he's gonna be your dad, but you never went and uncovered the issues that were already there so that you could be prepared to be the woman that he needs in that relationship.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think that self-reflection piece is something that I think is missed, period. Because when that ending or somebody deemed, I got to get out of this, I don't know how often they do what we're sitting here talking about and actually reflect, like you say, and say.
That's the first step.
It needs to be. So if you write them down, first you need to reflect on yourself and say, okay, what role, if any, did I play? And be a serious, honest reflection. Because the point you're making, and I think, we stick in our relationships. It's just the top. It's easy to use. But if it don't work, and let's say even in that case with the one you gave, with let's say the lady stepped out and she was unfaithful. Okay, well, what was the guy doing? Was he unfaithful too? I mean, I'm just saying. Had that happened before? And was it? Maybe
is that a response to what I did?
Exactly. So it's like, all that needs to come into play, and say, okay, that's why the self-reflection is so important. It's like, okay, you got to understand, did I play a role, or did I do something that brought on this unmet expectation?
And so, again, what makes a necessary ending? If you did that reflection, you realize, oh, that was the natural result of me. I'm the problem in this, not them. Okay, you aren't at the necessary ending yet. It's not necessary. Fix that, and then let them actually get to the right result.
Yes.
Now, let's just take it a step further. Okay, you did what you needed to do in that situation. Okay, cool. Next step is you still aren't at the point of just ending it. Now it's, okay, well maybe, okay, they've got what I think would help them to get to this point. Now, let's work together on this. Maybe there's a little bit more development. Maybe we just need to, the process that I gave you just wasn't gonna work. It's just not good. Let's tweak it to see if we can possibly get to a better result, a better outcome from this whole thing. Maybe let's include some different variables in the situation, because I did all that I could do, and it's obvious that you did everything you could with what you had to work with. All right, let's change the variables so that we can possibly get to a different outcome.
But that takes some responsibility too. Because I guess when we talk about this whole topic, it's so easy to blame the other person. And I think this is I'm using overuse, but this is a necessary step.
We've said it a few times now. Necessary.
Yeah, to understand whether you do need to end something, like you just said. Because it can be a positive in this respect. If you do that self-reflection and you see that I need to change something about myself, to me, that gives me hope that I don't have to end something. Because if I change myself, I can correct the issue in a way where the expectations can be met.
Exactly. And okay, let's take it back to the career or the management, and you're looking at the employee who wasn't quite meeting it, and you realize, oh, they weren't equipped, or that's just not their position. Like they're not strong in this area. We shouldn't have put them there in the first place.
Yeah.
That's our bad. Okay, let's put them over in this department. See if they perform better. See with that process, with that team, maybe there's a different outcome. Maybe they're more inspired to wake up in the morning, and maybe they're actually going to be eager about the work that they're doing. Okay, let's give that a shot. But still, there's this patience that has to be in place here.
It do, and even I think we could take this to sports. You see it in sports often enough where you got, whether it be football, you got an individual who is drafted, as, I don't know, let's say he's drafted as a wide receiver. Okay. But, he got some weight on him, and they're like, they keep pushing like, man, he's not getting it done at wide receiver. We just can't, he's just not, he's not fast enough, he don't have the speed or whatever and all that. However, the guy's big. Maybe he can play tight end. So the point though is that the coach has to evaluate, am I putting this individual in the wrong spot to succeed? Okay.
That's important.
Because I could just cut him.
Yeah, you can just cut him.
Yeah, but then he go to another team.
What investment did you already put in? What are you losing by just cutting that person?
Well, invested a draft pick in him. Okay. You give it up, and then the individual goes somewhere else and get put in as a tight end.
Oh,
flourish.
Man. They done won the Super Bowl. What's the quarterback's name?
Hurt. Jalen Hurt.
From he played for Detroit, but then he won the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, you're talking about Stafford.
Stafford.
Yes.
Different environment, same position.
Yeah.
Different environment where different playbook, different team.
One team felt like they needed to get rid of him, and even the reverse is even more so a story. Jared Goff was a throw-in. Boom. Mm-hmm. And what did he do? He comes to Detroit and flourishes. So but one team saw they needed to end it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another good point too. Both teams saw they needed to end that relationship with their quarterbacks, but they both got success out of the quarterbacks they got. So just because you ended
something, the fit.
Yeah, it's a fit.
Someone's got to be right for the role.
It's the fit. Yeah, the fit play a big part, man. So let's steer it on back.
So there we go. There's number 2. So if you figured out, one, that there was something that you could have done to actually make the situation better so they could meet the expectation, okay, make that adjustment. We're not at the necessary ending yet. 2, you put them in a different environment, or you gave them different variables, or you decided to make the environment shift enough so that it actually allowed them and their uniqueness to thrive. Okay, cool, fantastic. But if you felt like they're still not performing, you made those changes. Okay, now we gotta talk.
Yeah,
now we gotta figure this out.
Now we get to the point where it maybe need to end.
It might be. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're here at this point.
And that's okay. And I think that's the other thing too, because there's a consequence to not ending something that needs to be ended.
Oh, go ahead and delay it out. See what happens.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, we're talking about any number of things, but we were talking about sports a moment ago. How many times did you see a team hold on to a player who was a star for years, but because of that individual's name and what they've done for that team, they keep a starting spot for that person, but they're not delivering.
And they know, homie, that they just recruited is ready.
Exactly. Quarterbacks is a good example of that, right? So, I mean, you think about how many quarterbacks just really, it was the time. They could see it all, but they couldn't make the same throws. They couldn't move like they did before. And that team pays a price for it. Mm-hmm. Relationships, the same thing. It's like in a bad relationship, it needs to end, but you don't, and you become miserable.
Miserable.
Yes.
Miserable.
And miss out potentially on the right person for you because you're stuck in a bad relationship.
And see, and that's the thing too, is like there's a cost of staying. There's a cost. Like if you're not gonna do the work of reflection, if you're not gonna do the work of trying to put them in a better position, and you're not going to just do what needs to be done on your end, you are setting yourself up to just suffer in the situation. Yeah. Because when we're talking about an employee, there's a cost associated with that. If you're talking about a relation, there is emotional pain that you will feel on a consistent basis because you know that there is something that needs to be done. There's things that have to change, but you are unwilling to make them.
And here's the thing, I guess this is the thing that I think where life can go on. There could be what I call, modest wins, I guess is what I'm saying. You can limp along and you can have those moments like, I really care about this person. Or, this job has been fulfilling today. I had a good day. Or, the person that did that work, it wasn't too bad. They did this one thing right. But you kind of rationalize and talk yourself into staying in a situation for these little blips, whereas you can have a life that's more so about wins. You know, again, it's like I can say, oh, this person painted this one wall real well, or I can go get another contractor to paint the whole house real well. I can be in a relationship where this person might be a real affectionate person to make me, in that respect, and they make me feel, okay, loved in that respect. But they could be horrible with everything else, the money. And it's like, but I can go, if I in that relationship that I know I need to end and go get the right one, I can have a complete life, and I basically grow with someone together. Or,
well, let's stay there. I've said this a few times, but I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast. The grass, we always hear the saying of, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. When we're talking about people, chances of it being that much greener, slim.
Don't run for that reason.
Don't run there. Well, because you can't, here's the thing. If you didn't go through the process of figuring out what was wrong with you, what was wrong with the environment, who you are as a person to find out what would even be a good relationship to be in, I promise you the grass is not greener. Because the reality is it's the perspective that you were standing at that makes it the way that it is. So no matter what side of the fence you're on, it's always going to be bad. That's why you've already been through 5 relationships.
Yeah, that's going back to the person in the mirror, looking in the mirror. You're right. Wow, no, that's deep. So, I mean, I know we're getting to that point, man, it's got a lot of tentacles to this particular topic. And trying to close it out in one place is going to be a little difficult. But I think that necessary end, and we were talking about a little bit earlier, is that there are some things that need to end. And I think things that are for one, dangerous for you. And it's not just, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife relationships. We talk about friends, people that you hang around. If you're around a group that put you at risk or put you in environments that are bad, there needs to be an end to those, necessary end. It might not feel good, but it's necessary because your safety is involved, your well-being is involved, or your future is involved. And that's true, I think, with anything we just talked about, whether it be business or whatever. It's like, if you want your business to thrive, you got to have the right employees. You got to have the right team. If you don't have the right team, your business will go, it will end.
Yeah. You have to love yourself and you have to love what you're doing enough to let go of what won't actually amount to the outcome that's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do that. And we talk to leaders, right? And so as a leader, a person who, there are people who you're responsible. You have responsibilities. You have taken ownership of something and people are relying on you to do that thing. If you aren't willing to end something that needs to end for yourself and for the rest of the team to thrive, you are not fit to be a leader.
No, you're not. And in every case, you might not end it, but it will end.
Oh.
And I guarantee it won't end the way you would like it to end. And what I mean by that, as a leader in a business, if you do not address the issues that need to be taken care of and end with relationships or partnerships within that situation, it will bring your business down. You will not have a business. Okay. And the same thing's true with our interactions with people. If we're in the wrong circle of individuals, something will happen that's going to force the ending, and it's not going to be comfortable.
Be catastrophic.
It will be. It will be. It will be. I mean, growing up in Chicago, if I hung around the same individuals that, I grew up with, not all, but I say my core group, I wouldn't be sitting right here. I'd probably be sitting in the cell somewhere dead. I mean, that's what I mean by necessary endings. It's like that needed to end. Otherwise, I would be on a different path. I guess that's the point I'm making.
Yeah. Well, because again, there is that point where it's like you can end this and go one route, or you can keep this going, and there's a completely different route of it.
It is.
It's like no matter what, a decision gonna have to be made here, and no decision is a decision.
A decision. And one thing we had not spoke on, and you guys should notice by now if you've been watching it, God is at the center of what we do. And I think this fits right into the fact that if you know God and you follow God, you know what path you should take. And God will tell us what relationships need to terminate. Don't mean it's easy, but if we don't listen, then we will wind up on a different path, and it'll be a different ending.
I mean, let's bring in the kingdom context in this.
Okay.
If the king puts you in a position for a particular purpose, so that you can do certain things and have a certain impact and effect on, career, people, environment, whatever. He puts you here for a reason. If you are in that and there is someone that you are with or something that is attached to you that is stopping you from doing the assignment, now that's a problem, not just for you, emotionally, but it's also a problem for the whole operation here. I put you there to do something. Now you over here so busy chasing behind Susie that you can't do what I called you to do.
Yeah.
You are a bad soldier.
Yeah.
And you know what happens to soldiers that decide to go do what they want to do? You get excommunicated.
Yes.
We call that treason.
Yes. You can want to be executed. You get put out.
You will be put out. Because you are unuseful. You cannot be successful in this, doing that. So you have to always go back to, what was the assignment? What am I here for? What's the purpose? What did the king say to do? And if I didn't check in with him, then I shouldn't have been here in the first place. If
you don't really deal with and end those things that are necessary, then you basically are doomed to not be successful. You're doomed to fail. I mean, you are. I mean, if you don't make those necessary endings, you will fail.
You will. You have reached a necessary ending when one thing or another will not allow you to actually do the mission that you were called to do. It cannot fulfill the purpose for which this thing was created. That needs to end.
Yeah. Hey, I think we're at a good point here. We can go on, but I think we're at a point where we can maybe close this out and get some people to chew on this. I think it's a good topic to think about, because I think there's a lot of things, all of us got things we need to kind of reflect on and say, is this a healthy?
For too long?
Yeah, this is a healthy. I mean, I think about even it would work with me. Hey, it's time for me to do something different with my career. So I feel like, hey, it's time to do something different. But you just don't just walk in. I quit today. We're
done.
Yeah. There has to be a plan. But knowing that, it's like, okay, I need to move on. So
there's a process,
which I'm working on.
Maybe that's the next phase.
Yeah.
What comes next after the necessary, or how to prepare for a necessary ending?
Yes.
Maybe that's what we're talking about. Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. If you have not subscribed, do it. Do it now. And Rodney, I see you got a really nice shirt on. What's going on?
I'm wearing, hey, look, Freedom in Christ Ministry. You can come check us out in person in Southfield at 28202 Franklin Road. That's in Southfield, Michigan. If you're in the metro area, come on out. Have service with us on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. every Sunday. We also have online service too as well, but we're inviting you to come on in the house, actually right here in the Freedom Center, and join us for service. And as well as Man 2.0 for the brothers, come on out Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Same address for Man 2.0. 10 a.m. come out and do that. But hey, fellowship is part of building the kingdom and strengthening us as well. So we come together to have that iron sharpen iron. We have fellowship and service to understand how we can support one another. So I invite you out. Come on out. Check us out.
Come on and check us out. Yeah. Go ahead and subscribe. I already said it 2 other times, but I want you to.
You mean it this time.
I mean it. Subscribe to the channel. And hey, also leave a comment if you feel like, man, I would love to hear a conversation about this particular thing. Like, I've been thinking about this, or me and my guys have been thinking about this. Cool. Throw it in the comments. We will definitely take a look, and we'd be happy to make an episode on it.
Oh yeah.
So
we're flexible.
We're flexible. Okay. But thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week. Peace.